Hi everybody, this is Andrew Gable here, and I'm going to walk you through the carving process of my Italian Alabaster polar bear titled Iris. So first thing you have to do is you've got to get it positioned on the table. Interestingly, Italian Alabaster usually comes processed with two flat sides, so it really makes the drawing process a lot easier. Because you can just draw right on that flat side, and it can really get a nice initial drawing, which is always very important. I find that initial drawing you want to get accurate because then you can trust it. You can trust those initial cuts as you get deeper into the carving. Still lots of important measurements that happen during this process where you're just trying to get the sort of fundamental cuts down, fundamental cuts in place. I've carved a few of these Italian Alabaster polar bears, and I remember as I was carving this piece I was covered in a cloud of white dust, which is typical when you're creating the carvings, but I remember it was a nice change from the soapstone dust, so there's definitely a difference in the texture, and the material is always sort of informs the carving process and informs the final product. So alabaster is definitely a unique stone to carve, and I've done a series of these polar bears. You know, I have different themes that sort of run through my work, and I think I've done probably, I want to say 7 or 8 of these Italian Alabaster polar bears. I absolutely love working with this stone. It's got such a unique semi-transparent finish, which you'll see here at the end. So I'm getting pretty far through the carving. Usually I start with the head and work back, and also work down. So you can see I'm working on the legs now, which, you know, comes later on in the process. I typically find, and I've said this before, that I will spend just as much time carving the face and the details of the face as I do the rest of the entire piece. So you can see here I'm getting into the eyes, and I like to use that tiny little Dremel point for a lot of the details. And I often will use smaller tools actually as I carve it, just for whatever reason I'm naturally sort of drawn towards like using smaller marks to sort of carve the piece and refine the muscles and the details. You can see I'm using one of my favorite tools here. And of course you gotta have the coffee. My iced coffee that I like to drink in the afternoon. As I'm carving, I'll use my hands a lot to measure. It's just like a sort of like, it helps reinforce the measurement. So as much as I do use my eyes when I'm measuring, I also actually use my hands. It becomes a physical process where I'm actually touching the carving, and that helps me really get more accurate in the carving process. So here I'm moving on to the sanding. I've got the shape done, and I go through about 3 to 4 different layers of sanding, and that's when I get to really start to see the color come out and the nuances of the color. And with this particular piece, I love doing the details in the face, and I've been experimenting with ways of sort of transitioning from a highly detailed face into sort of just the natural stone color, which you can see here, that semi-transparent quality, which I absolutely love, which is where the title Iris actually came from. When we put a backlight on this piece, my wife actually came up with the title, so credit to her. She often does. But anyways, there's the final piece, Italian Alabaster carving of Iris. So thanks everybody for watching, and yeah, be sure to check out my website for the full collection of available artworks that I have. Thanks everybody.